What's up, smooth ladies? Welcome to Marks. It's your favorite non-wrestling wrestling podcast coming to you every Friday morning at bittermarks.com or wherever you get your podcast from. If this is your first time joining us, thanks for checking us out. Feel free to email us, bittermarks@gmail.com. Any questions you may have, whether they are professional wrestling related, whether they're non-wrestling related. We actually have some emails today, and we got a little of both. So feel free to email us anything that you feel like emailing. My name is Sasha. I'm your host, and I'm joined by my dear friend Peewee. He is the Larry to my Jack Tripper, and I know I already said his name, but I'm going to say it again. It's Peewee.
I was very confused. I was also confused when you said Larry to Jack Tripper. I didn't know if you were going to your Larry to your Mo or your Larry to your Jordan or where you were going with that. But what's going on, man?
My Larry Williams to my Micah Black.
That's the only one that matters. Good call.
That's the one. I'm doing okay. Just another day, you know. I didn't work today, so all I've been doing today is listing. If you want to know what that means, check out flipsandbumps.com.
That is work. That's more work than you and I do normally.
Yeah, I made a bunch of money today. It was nice having a day off and making a bunch of money, so I'll take it.
Attaboy.
We are joined by the punctual prince of podcasting, the Mr. Furley of Parts Unknown, Illinois. It's Producer Tony.
What's up, everybody?
There's that improv skill paying off.
Improv plus impression skills. Oh, Tony, you amaze me every week. That was great.
What's up, guys? How we feeling?
We're feeling good. Mr. Furley has just been added to the PWI 500. So next year is going to be great. Just wanted to start off by giving you guys an update on my truck situation.
Truck update. I've been worried sick about your truck situation all week.
Okay, so where we left it off was I was waiting to hear back from the company that has screwed me royally, and they got back to me, and they gave me a excuse that, at least they gave me an excuse. I'll say that. It took 5 days for them to give me a legitimate excuse, and I still don't think it was legitimate, but at least it was more realistic than, yeah, we think it was a coincidence that your truck is ruined.
Okay, and that happened almost right after we recorded last week, right? Because we talked about this when we recorded Flips and Bumps.
I don't know. I don't know what day it is. I don't know where we are. We also recorded that podcast on a different day than normal. So I have no clue what I've talked about and to whom.
That's okay. So where are you at now with it?
So they got back to me and I said, you know what? Give me a quote then. Why don't you guys give me a quote before I sue you or go to the Better Business Bureau? And they're like, oh yeah, we'll give you the quote. And they came back with a quote. And keep in mind, I have already spent $7,000 with these people. They came back with a quote and they took 15% off the labor. And I was like, oh, you gave me something.
Okay.
And then they wanted to charge me an additional $5,000. And I don't think they know how money works. And so I said, okay, you guys can, earmuffs to all the small children listening, you guys can eat a dick, big bag of dicks, in fact. I will get one for all the mechanics who have worked on my vehicle, and for your office managers, and anyone else who's just wants to chomp on down, you know? And so I took my truck, and then I had to do the thing that I really don't like doing. But I had to take it to the Serbian mechanic.
Oh, no.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no.
Boy.
And I'll have you know that I dropped off my vehicle on last Friday. Today being Tuesday, the day that we normally record. I have yet to hear anything about my truck.
Yeah, they're on Serbian typical time. Yeah, it's going to be a while until they get to you.
I'm hoping before the year is up, I'll get my truck back, but... no clue. I know the inside. When you do get
it back, it's going to smell like cigarettes and Chevops, and it's going to be all kinds of problems going on there.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at. I still have like the small truck that I have that is, once again, twice the work for half the money, which is the best way to work, if you ask me.
Work harder, not smarter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And longer, not stronger, I believe is the other.
Nicely done.
But Peewee, I heard you have had an interesting weekend, not worrying about a truck.
I was going to
of
say,
any
yeah, it
sort.
sounds like my weekend was a lot better than your weekend.
What can you tell us about Swogglemania?
This was Swogglemania.
Yeah.
This was an action-packed weekend from bell to bell. We left Friday morning-ish, right after Connor finished school, and started on the 3-hour drive up to middle of nowhere, Wisconsin. And the drive up was fine. We got to the hotel. We probably got there at like 3:30, 4 o'clock. And my plan was to spend some time with Steph and Connor. And then that night on Friday, I was going to separate from them around 6 o'clock and then go to a live version of the Major Wrestling Figure podcast, which was the night before Swogglemania. After that, the plan was everybody goes out, hangs out at a bar or a restaurant, whatever. And then the next day, my plan was to hang out with Steph and Connor all day on that day, really. And then after that was the WrestleCon, that's the autograph signing, blah, blah, blah. There was the wrestling show after the autograph signing. And then, again, the plan was after that to go to a restaurant bar with all the fans. I was going to send Steph and Connor back to the hotel, and I was going to go out and have a good time. And for the most part, that's what happened. The cool thing about the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast live shows is that they bring in, even though they're directly attached to this wrestling show the following day. The wrestling show has guys like Kevin Nash, Emma, the Boogeyman, and then like a bunch of random Wisconsin local guys. They don't care about any of that. They don't book any of those guys for their show. Instead, they bring in their own mystery guests. So you don't know who you're going to see. When we went to the Chicago show, Sasha, I think we talked about this. They brought in Raven. They brought in
ridiculous.
Yeah, it was right.
Wow.
Wasn't Ziggler there?
Ziggler was there, but also because it was the pay-per-view weekend.
He was in town. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was doing a comedy show at that same venue the next night.
Okay. Well, even so, they bring in guys.
By the way, Dana Brooke went to that show, and I very much regret not going.
How was that? That was more than a year ago. How did that take so long to come up?
It's been up ever since, if you know what I mean.
Okay, so before that live show, we were hanging around the hotel, just me, Steph, and Connor. Our plan was to go to the pool. And on our way down to the pool, we get into the elevator. And I get in the elevator. Connor gets in the elevator. Steph gets in the elevator. Maven gets in the elevator. And we press the lobby button.
Maven.
And we start heading down. And then I realize it's Maven because he pops for Connor's Andre the Giant yellow T-shirt that he's wearing.
Wow.
And also, it's COVID. It's trying to recognize Maven out of nowhere when he has a COVID mask on. It wasn't the easiest thing to do, but because of his voice, I immediately recognized him. And sadly, Connor obviously didn't. Connor doesn't know who Maven is.
Yeah, I was going to say Maven could be wearing a Maven shirt and I wouldn't recognize him.
Right. No, Maven is a gorgeous man up close. I'll have more on Maven later, but we said goodbye to Maven.
After you put Steph and Connor to bed.
We went to the pool. Then we went to the restaurant and just tried to hang out before the live show. And in the restaurant area, I saw a bunch of people who are in the Facebook group that I brought up many times. And at this point, I literally got recognized by two people with a COVID mask on. And in this group, I don't post my picture. I post Steph pictures a bunch because I just post they have a major fitness challenge thing, and I just post her DDPY stuff. So they knew her, and I think through that they recognized. So really, Steph got recognized. But either way, people came up to me and said hi, and eventually they really took me in very easily and family, brought me in to hang out with them for the entire weekend. So Steph quickly realized this, and Steph took care of Connor for the rest of that night. We went to the live show. And at the live show, the other guys that showed up, Hornswoggle, obviously, because it was his show and he's friends with those guys. Ken Kennedy was there. Mr. Anderson.
I saw a picture with him and I popped for that.
Ken was a Randy guy, kind of, back in the day. Yeah. I brought this up.
I worked shows, with. I don't think I worked him, but I worked on shows with him.
There you
Kamikaze Ken Anderson, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He was a big local Wisconsin and semi-northern Illinois guy. I brought that up to him after the show after the live show. He no-sold it. He was like, I don't. I asked him, here's what happened. I said, hey, man, I used to work for a guy named Rockin' Randy. I think you guys were friends. Do you remember him? And he goes, he kind of stuttered, didn't really answer yes or no, which basically means no. And I go, oh, that's no problem. I was just a ref for him. No big deal. But it was 20 years ago, whatever. And then to his credit, he's like, oh, well, you know what? You kind of look familiar. Okay, that could be. But that was obviously him just like being nice.
You should have asked him about straight edge Eric Hammers. That's how you get to the...
Or the Wisconsin
business.
Chicken.
Or the Wisconsin Chicken. There you go.
Yeah.
That's I don't even have to bring that up. That's just a given. So other guys that showed up, Heath Slater was there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was a good time. And Heath is very injured. He's walking around with a limp the whole time. And then Maven obviously showed up. And that show was fantastic. We hung out for a long time there, and then we all went to the bar that night. We went to the hotel bar that night because everybody was staying in the hotel bar. So Steph and Connor were already fast asleep in the room. I went to the hotel bar with the fans, and then later in comes Matt Cardona, Zack Ryder, Kurt Hawkins, Brian Myers, and the producer, my buddy, the guy who I get to send all the NECA stuff to, Smart Mark. He was on AEW recently, or TNA recently, one of those. And they all come in and we all start hanging out with them. And then I realized at the bar is a non-makeup boogeyman. Tony, do you remember the boogeyman?
Yeah, like he used to like eat worms and
Yes.
Yeah.
Sasha, do you remember the boogeyman?
Yeah, and the odd thing about this is I can identify the boogeyman without makeup better than I can identify Maven as Maven.
With an I'm Maven t-shirt on, yes.
Because the boogeyman was actually in Tough Enough.
We talked about this all weekend.
And he was awesome. Like, he looked incredible. He was very, very good, but he lied about his age. Like,
do you remember this?
Yeah.
Tough Enough was like 22 years ago, right? And the whole thing was, he had this awesome promo. He had this awesome tryout in front of Tough Enough. And then at the end of it, Al Snow was like, okay, man, you did great. You look great. You sound great. But I think this was just reality TV. I think he knew. But he was like, okay, how old are you, man? And then Boogeyman just goes, I'm 30. No, really, man. He looked a little bit older than 30. All right, no, really, how old are you? I'm 30. No, you can't. Would you show us your driver's license? I'm 30. And then the host is like, okay, let me see your driver's license, sir.
Yeah,
and,
in the ring. And I think the ring was on a beach, like outside.
Yes, absolutely. This is 100% true.
Yeah, let us see your
So they card the boogeyman on the beach. And as he hands it to him, it says, I'm 30. They look at it and they say, sir, you're 40. And but that's the thing. 22 years ago, he was 40.
Jesus.
Yeah.
He's 60 plus and looks just as good right now. It was unbelievable. Now the other side, I don't want to say I won't say who had these stories, but somebody has some not so flattering. It's not even not so flattering. I think I can tell the stories here about the boogeyman. Semi recently, I was told this by a guy that the boogeyman was in a backstage indie show.
Should we preface this with allegedly?
I think so. I'm not sure. Okay. I also think if you combine this story with what they talk about on the Major Wrestling Figure podcast, you can totally tell both sides 100% of the story. So I'm going to leave out
to some Twitter DMs in a couple of weeks here.
So Boogeyman is at an indie show, and he's about to work Orange Cassidy. And Orange Cassidy had already main evented Dynamite, possibly one of the pay-per-views. He'd already done the orange juice, the orange juice match with Jericho. Like, he'd already been to Top of the Mountain, right? And so they're calling stuff, and Orange Cassidy's like, all right, I'm going to do my little kicks. You'll sell. And Sash, you know what I'm talking about. Like, his no effort, hands in his pockets, kicking his shin, but he wants him to sell the kicks. And Boogeyman's like, no, I can't sell that stuff. I can't sell stuff. And Orange Cassidy's like, no, you don't understand. This is my thing. Like, the people are going to eat this up. Once you do my stuff, then we'll go back and we'll do your stuff. Same thing they did versus Gangrel back in the day. Boogeyman wasn't having it. And the line of the night was, listen, kid, you ain't been to the dance. Once you've been to the dance, then we can talk. But you haven't been to the dance. Once you've been to the dance, you let me know. You let me know. So this guy that was telling the story all night, he was hammered and was just yelling from across the bar, hey, you been to the dance? You been to the dance? Who's been to the dance? Anybody been to the dance? All night. Oh no. Who was it? Oh, it was fantastic. So that was that night. I'll speed through this. I know I'm already going long on this story.
No. We're slowing down actually.
We have nothing to talk about.
The boogeyman has brought us 3 potential episode titles already. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Move it on.
Okay.
Or actually, I have a question for you.
Yeah, sure.
Before all this happened, when you were going up there, did you have plans with other people, or did you just kind of assume that everybody was like going to be meeting up?
We were hanging out. Me and this core group of guys were hanging out after the show. They had a meet and greet for all the VIP guys, and it was a very, very long line. And the girl that was doing the photographs was also hanging out with us, and she told us after we did our meet and greet stuff, the girl told us that she didn't want to walk home alone. So we had to wait which is fine. So we waited for her out of respect and just, okay, we'll wait for you, do the whole meet and greet thing. And we weren't thinking it was going to take 2 hours, but it did take 2 hours. So we're just hanging out in this theater, just waiting for the thing to end. But at the same time, it's not a bad time. Maven is signing autographs. Heath is signing autographs. This is when I talked to Mr. Kennedy. We're just messing around with all these guys. Rory Fox is there. Do you remember Rory Fox?
Yeah. He was at the.
Oh, he was in Chicago too. Yeah. So yeah, we're just working it around. So then after that, we decide that we're going to go out. But first, everybody wants to go back to the hotel, get changed, and then we're going to go out. When we're at the hotel, I think we ran into Smart Mark and Brian, and they told us, we're just going to go out into the hotel lobby if you guys want to go hang out. Okay, let's do that. So that's when we go down. That's when we run into Boogeyman. That's when we get asked multiple times if we've been to the dance. And and then that night was great. By the end of the night, Brian and Matt had bought everybody pizza. Like everybody, it was just a very big, welcoming, family kind of atmosphere. It was very cool.
Was it weird being at a show after COVID or during COVID? I guess you could say.
The Wisconsin, I don't think COVID has hit Wisconsin, at least based on how they act.
Yes.
We went on Saturday night. We went to a bar, and they were encouraging us to take off masks. I think we've talked about this before. That's my number one pet peeve with this whole thing. Is I don't care what you do with your mask, but leave my mask out of this. So for that night, all we did was just hang out on the patio, with masks on and everything. I wasn't too worried about it. The theater itself was very cautious about it. They made sure everybody was seated where you wanted to be seated, and you had to be separated by one row. So everybody had an empty row in front of them. If you wanted to sit next to friends, you had that option. But if you didn't want to, there was more than enough seats for everybody. So it was very spaced out. It was in my opinion, every event that I went to was very safe. Saturday, I got in. Listen, I'm 39 years old. Friday night, I got in at 3 a.m. I have to sneak in my hotel room that has a giant, United States has to slam the hotel door room to make sure it's not a fire hazard. And I wake up Connor, I wake up Steph. I have to then climb into bed with Connor because we only have 2 beds in the room, and I don't want to make the kids sleep on the floor. And the beds are tiny, so me and Steph can't share a bed. So then from 3 o'clock until I think I sleep till 8 or 9, get very little sleep. We wake up and we just hang out. And nothing really happened. We probably went to the pool, hung out for a little bit, and then what did we do? Oh, Connor and I played with action figures in the hallway. We did some VR in the hallway. We were just killing time. Steph was doing her DDPY workout, and then we went to the autograph signing, the big WrestleCon, and the main event, like we said, was Kevin Nash. As soon as we got there at 4 when it opened, and his line was already,
astronomical,
200 people long.
Well, let's be honest. The other people there are the Insane Clown Posse.
Nope, they no-showed.
Okay.
Good for you.
The Wisconsin lucky. Chicken? Who else?
Right. It was almost like a convention. They had one room dedicated to, you stood in line for the very long line, and Nash was mostly responsible for the line. But in that room, in the same line, was Boogeyman and Emma. So the 3 top names you had to stand in the super long line for. Everybody else, the Matt Cardona, Brian Myers, and all the local guys also had their own tables. So getting to them, even those guys, at least Brian Myers and Cardona, they had very long lines to get to them. But everybody else, it was just chaos. And then they had just random vendor tables, selling action figures, DVDs, whatever. So we're walking around the convention.
VHS?
There were some VHS.
Yeah, we're making a comeback.
This is not the VHS that you want a part of. This is like convention priced VHS at a wrestling show. That's super high priced.
I'm out.
So we kill time there. We get our autographs of the guys in there, and then Steph volunteers to go stand in the Kevin Nash line. Okay. And also I'm carrying around a big bin of stuff that I want signed by Kevin Nash. I've got, Super Shredder figures. I've got it's not even stuff for me, I should say. It's a lot of stuff for Connor. He's got stuff that I didn't get any autographs for myself because I don't care. I take that back. I did get a Kevin Nash autograph on a Super Shredder figure.
Can you get just one per person? So do you have 3 things?
No. It is, the prices going into it. I'm going to get into the prices in a second. It was a $50 combo. So you could do a $30 picture plus a $30 or a $30 autograph, or you can do the combo for $50. Any item that you wanted autographed after that was an additional $10.
Oh, okay.
So guys were walking around with 6 of these
bag.
Super Shred. Yes, it was massive. So I just had a bin. I looked like one of those guys that was just like running home after this convention to flip everything on eBay. Meanwhile, it's all sitting in Connor's room, a little display he made with all of his autograph stuff. So we wait in line, and Steph gets in line at like 4:30. And I knew going into this that Kevin Nash was not booked for the show. He's retired from wrestling. He's just there for the autograph session. The line is moving very, very slowly. It's getting to be 5 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock, and we're slow. I mean, it's moving, but it's slowly moving, and we're still not close to the door. It gets to be like 6:10, and I grabbed the promoter, who I'd been talking to on Facebook just with random questions about, and I was like, "Hey, man, what happens if at 7 o'clock when the show starts, if to the people who haven't gotten to Nash and the other guy, Boogeyman and Emma, what happens to that?" He's like, "Oh man, this is another thing that I fuck." I'll say Kevin Nash. What I was told, Kevin Nash was not in a good mood. Now the reason he wasn't in a good mood is because I really don't know how much I should go into detail here over the air.
Don't do it. Yeah, we can't have Big Sexy personal. Coming after us.
I agree.
We both get boots
I was told
to the face.
I will say this. I was told he wasn't in a good mood, and I was told he was getting out of there at 6:30. I looked at the line, and I looked at where we were positioned in line. I'm like, we're not getting there by 6:30. And I will give Nash credit. He stayed, as far as I know, he stayed until every person got their autograph.
Damn right.
But he didn't get paid. You're saying that not because he owes it to anyone, but because he's the man, right? Like that. I'm not kidding.
Quality individual.
Yeah, exactly right. That's how you meant that. So he didn't have to do that. He was paid to be there from 4 o'clock till 6:30. At that point, I do side with Nash on this completely. At that point at 6:30, he has no obligation to be there. But the problem is if Kevin Nash leaves at 6:30, the promoter's not going to be the one who gets the heat on him. It's going to be Kevin Nash because he's the one walking away. Now, how do you solve this? The answer is you don't charge $50 for a combo. Anywhere else in the country you go, Kevin Nash's combo is $80 to $100. The lower the cost of the combo, the autograph and the picture, the longer the line's going to be. So the combo price is 100% set by the promoter. But again, the heat is going to fall on Kevin Nash if he walks out of that room. So I will give 100% credit for Kevin Nash sticking around. And in my opinion, it was 100% on the promoter for how, I don't want to say poorly, but how badly that could have gone for everybody involved. Luckily, everybody did leave happy. Connor went into this thrilled to meet Kevin Nash and had no idea who the Boogeyman was. Because I saw him I forgot he was going to be there, so I didn't show Connor anything about him. But because I saw him in the bar, and because I was so excited for the who's been to the dance? You been to the dance? I got so excited for that. I showed him Connor the next day videos of the Boogeyman and him eating worms and blah blah blah. And Connor, by the time we got to the front of the line, was a bigger Boogeyman fan than he was a Kevin Nash fan. So we got pictures and autographs of Kevin Nash, and then we jumped into the Boogeyman line, and Connor got a bunch of pictures from him. Boogeyman gave him a ton of free merch, free autograph, free 8x10.
Free worms. Here you go, kid.
No, and that was gonna be my question. It's an indie show. If I'm the Boogeyman, and I haven't been in WWE for 15 years, there's no way I'm eating worms on this show, right? Like it's
gummy worms, maybe.
I come out with a clock, I come out with a stick, I come out with maybe some fog, and I'm good. No, Boogeyman goes 100% at every show. He came out with live worms. He was eating them himself. He was feeding the fans them. And then the guy he was working did pull out gummy worms and acted like the Boogeyman, and then threw them to the crowd. I think I posted a picture somewhere of Connor eating the gummy worms and trying to act like the Boogeyman. So the show was phenomenal. Connor was this was Connor's very first wrestling experience as far as a live show goes. His first time being in a crowd. He was kind of tuckered out by the main event. But before that, the first match we saw was Smart Mark Sterling versus Hornswoggle. Swoggle was his number one wrestler going into this, and still is his number one wrestler, mainly because of the Muppets movie. And when that's the first experience that he's seeing live, and the first thing that's happening in the match is Mark charging at Swoggle and giving him a big boot and like laying it in there. Connor looks at me and is like, is he okay? He's like, Connor was so consistent the entire match. And Connor, knows that it's a work. When him and I play wrestle, Connor will whisper in my ear, "Are you okay?" Because I've told him like that's what guys do to make sure that they're taking care of each other. So he knows that it's a work for the most part, but he still bought into it. And by the end of it, he was, thumbs downing and booing Smart Mark. He was on the top of his chair, cheering as loud as he could for Swoggle. It was everything I could have hoped for a wrestling show. And Connor's first live experience I got from AECW in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. It was fantastic. A great show. After that, Steph and Connor went to bed, and then we headed to a bar. And this is where I got that experience, the full Wisconsin COVID experience or lack thereof. I volunteered to drive because I'm a sober guy. I haven't drank in, 10, 12 years at this point. I'm like, guys, I know the bar is, it's a 7-minute walk. I know it's not far, but it's cold. This is middle of Wisconsin, and it's a cold weekend to begin with. I don't mind walking there, but I know when we close this place down at 2 a.m, I'm not going to want to walk home. So I don't care if anybody drives with me. I'm driving to this place. If you want to ride, feel free to jump in. So a handful of guys did jump in. And we drove to the bar, past everybody else that was walking. We got to the bar, just started hanging out. And then a few hours later, half hour, 45 minutes later, then everybody else shows up. That's when Cardona shows up. Brian Myers shows up. Smart Mark shows up. Maven shows up again. We're at the bar with Maven now. And we closed this place down. Nothing of note happens here. We all had a group sing-along of I Want It That Way by the Backstreet Boys. And then we closed the bar down. Then it closed. And then I told Cardona that we were all talking about leaving, and I'm like, "Hey, do you guys need a ride?" And he's like, "Oh, sure." Brian was about to order an Uber, but Bitters, if you got a car, let's jump in Bitters' car. Let's get going. So everybody walked to my car, and when I say everybody, I don't just mean Cardona, Smart Mark, Maven. I mean we had a group of 15 people that were expecting a ride back in my SUV.
The clown car coming back from the bar with horses.
And that was the plan. My plan was, I told the guys earlier before I agreed to bring back Cardona and company that, guys, I'll bring you back. Just the random fan guys that I was hanging out with. I'll definitely, carpool you back. But everybody agreed, let's take care of these guys first. They've been working all night. Let's get them back. So on the first car ride back, I drove. Shotgun next to me was Brian Myers. In the back seat was Smart Mark, AJ, which was a very cool fan. I met him for the first time, never even talked to him in the group, but him and I bonded over talking about dad stuff over the weekend and wrestling, getting our kids into wrestling. But he's fucking huge. He's bigger than half the wrestlers that were on the show. He's sitting in the way back of my car, which is there's 2 seats back there. It was him, Smart Mark, and Cardona crammed back there. We opened up the trunk and fit 2 smaller fans back there and closed the trunk. That still leaves my middle seat, which does have Connor's. It has his car seat, but there's still 2 empty seats next to it. You know who got those 2 seats? Maven. Maven took up 2 seats by himself. Meanwhile, Cardona, Sterling, and AJ are in the back, and Myers is shotgun, and the 2 fans are crammed in the trunk. So I drive them, but that's honestly my biggest regret of the entire weekend is not just taking like a selfie picture, looking into the backseat of the car, like to get I would have just settled for a picture with me and Maven, me driving Maven back to the hotel. But it was just a funny sight to see. And then I looped back, picked everybody else up, and drive everybody home. It was a fantastic weekend. The next day we took Connor to there's a Star Wars museum in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, which is the largest Star Wars toy collection in the state. Connor fell in love there. He was taking pictures all over the place. And then we drove the 3 hours home and no problems at all. It was a fantastic family trip. I loved every second of it.
I was hoping you were going to drop a story where you met up with Kevin Nash in like the hot tub of the hotel pool. Like you just hung out with him, but
I don't think I had any time. I believe Kevin Nash's flight. I believe he had chartered a private jet to land in Oshkosh at 3:50. He did his autograph signing from 4 to 7 o'clock, and at 7:15 he flew right out of there.
Yeah, but I still held out hope.
Oh, also at the show, I forgot this part. At the actual wrestling show, I get up to Connor says he's thirsty, so I get up in line I get up out of my seat, go back to the food line, which is super long, and I start waiting. And the next match, the current match ends, and the next match starts. They introduce one guy, then they introduce the second guy, and Long Time's music hits. What is love? Yeah. Baby, don't hurt me. Now, it wasn't Long Time. But I'm celebrating over in the beer line.
High-fiving random people.
Right. Bobbing my head. But like I said, it wasn't Long Time. I don't see how somebody that close, Long Time works Milwaukee and South, I believe. I don't see how somebody that close to Milwaukee can come out to the same theme as the Wisconsin legend of the Love Machine, Matt Longtime. I thought that was a very big disgrace.
This entire story, I've been waiting for the fax machine to go off. Because I realized it's on, and this is the one time it has not gone off.
Sorry.
No, it's unbelievable.
So yeah, a great show. We had not even a great show. The show honestly wasn't that good, but the experience for Connor and the weekend in general was fantastic. Loved it.
I wish you would have gotten that picture as well, because then I wouldn't have to do the artwork for this show. It just would have been that picture. Producer Tony, it's your turn to take up the other half of this episode.
Uh-oh.
This is great because I've been losing my voice, so keep up whatever you guys are doing. But Producer Tony, you've taken a couple all-day endeavors recently. This week, in fact. One thing happened. Actually, before I go into your all-day endeavors, you mistook Tubi TV for Pluto TV, and I'd like you to explain yourself.
I deeply apologize to Pluto TV and its fans. I don't know what I was thinking.
Tubi is not bad, but it is no Pluto.
Tubi is a thing though, like
it is.
I believe so. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
That's probably why. But yeah, not the same thing.
Also, on the Lex Express. Which is what we are calling the most legal operation that we are all a part of.
Okay.
They have added live channels, or I guess they've always had live channels, but they have added Access TV. So you now get Impact Wrestling. So I assume you've watched this week, even though it's not on until Thursday.
They do have like their own movies and stuff. Like Plex as a platform, they have their own like movies and TV shows and TV shows and like.
Do you watch any of the live stuff?
No, I don't.
Just the movies.
No.
Okay. Well, there's two things that that I noticed that you did this week that took all day. One was you made ribs, and I wanted to know the theory behind your ribs making, and because this is why I ask. I could never do that. I feel like I am a city person who lives in the suburbs. Like I could never take the time to do that. Granted, I don't eat meat anyway, but if I did, it's not my cup of tea. I feel you are more of the country going to
and that's
suburbs.
Hilarious because I was born and raised in the city.
And and I've always been in the suburbs. Yeah.
Well, anyway, yeah. I bought a smoker and a grill combo a couple weeks ago, and it's been like shitty weather like ever since I bought it, so I didn't have time to actually use it. So I last weekend was going to be pretty nice, so I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm buying some ribs. I'm going to YouTube all this shit and like learn how to do it. So smoking, it takes a long time, right? Ribs aren't that bad. Ribs are like 6 hours. And I say that's not bad, but in terms of smoking, that's not bad. If you're getting into briskets and like pork shoulders, those can take like 12, 15, 17 hours actually.
There's a Ace Hardware right by my house, a block away. And every Sunday they have like a new, whether it's like a cider donuts truck or a pierogi truck or whatever. The past, like, I don't know how many weeks, they've had a barbecue. It's two women who bring like this massive smoker thing.
Yeah.
And I was just going to get some like a light bulb so that the bone zone could be well lit. And it smelled absolutely incredible.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So how did everything turn out for you?
So I bought a wood pellet smoker. It's like these little pieces of wood. They're like shaped into pellets. So it smokes at a very low temperature. It took me 6 hours. The smell is incredible. Like just sitting there for 6 hours. I had a couple beers because there's nothing to do. You're just fucking sitting there. Just being in the smell. Like my dog smelled like mesquite barbecue because he was outside too with me. So yeah, the grilling. If you look at my Twitter, I documented the whole thing. I took a picture at what the ribs look like at each step. There's like a method to it where like you grill it, you smoke it for 3 hours. Then you smoke it for 2 hours wrapped in aluminum foil. Then you smoke it for another hour.
How much research did you do going into this?
I watched like a ton of YouTube videos. Like I made my own rub. Like you got to rub down the ribs with spices to get like some really good flavors. So that took me a little while to figure out, but it's just like a hobby, it's just like, I'm just sitting around at home.
This sounds like something my wife would be she's going to contact you and ask you what kind of grill you got.
She already did, actually.
Wow.
She responded to one of the tweets from my journey on Twitter.
Okay. Oh,
this is something that you can't like leave it.
Well, you can, but ribs, like I said, it requires intervention at the 3 hour mark. Like I could have like took a nap or something. Like brisket and stuff like that.
He's not staring at the smoker for 3 hours.
No, I understand. But the thing is, like, it's like a lazy day. It was like what, Sunday or Saturday?
Yeah, it was Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're just like relaxing and enjoying the day. But I'm just saying, like, in theory, can you just leave it and like go watch like an ECW pay-per-view and come back?
Totally. You could totally do that. It doesn't take much maintenance once it's actually on the smoker.
Yeah.
You just gotta like spritz it with some apple cider every once in a while. That's about it. But the ribs were fantastic. I pretty much nailed that sumbitch, and I can't wait to make more. So
how long was the whole process? You said was it 6 hours?
6 hours, yes.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
The other thing, that's like almost a full WrestleMania right there. The other thing that really tickled my fancy happened yesterday, I want to say, where I believe you started early in the morning and late into the afternoon, you were still texting me about this as you were on the hunt, and it was flipping related.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know how much you can go into it.
Would you like to be a guest on our podcast that we record on Friday?
I'll just tell the story here. And one of the people at my job, I will not say where I work, needed to do some training with DVDs. Okay. So they had some old DVD players that quote unquote didn't work, whatever. So I went out and bought some new DVD players and I was replacing them. And what did I find? I found one. The first stop I went to, I found one. It was a DVD VHS combo player with remotes.
Where were you looking?
It's just at work, at the random break rooms and things that
I
going on in my work.
thought that was one of the new ones you bought. Okay, so this is
No,
one of the ones
no.
you're removing.
I'm replacing these.
Okay. And they don't care what you do with them.
So, well,
as far as we know.
So I find that one and I text Sasha and I'm like, "Am I rich? Like, can I sell this for lots of money?"
This was at 10:48 a.m.
Yeah. And then I go to another stop and then I'm like, I got to replace another one at another building. So I go there and what do I find there? Another VHS DVD combo with remote.
11:07 a.m.
Yes. And this is hilarious, by the way. I'm putting in a new DVD player, and there is 2 DVD players at this old place. Like, they probably work just fine. I'm like, I don't care. I'm taking these old ones out and putting the new ones in. That's what they want me to do. So I'm like, cool. I sent Sasha another picture. I'm like, this is going awesome, And then I go back to work. I go to my main building, and I'm like, you know what? I bet there's another one in this other area.
Oh boy.
So I go down there and there's another VHS DVD combo player with remote. I don't know if any
p.m.
I don't know if any of these work. I don't have a VHS player in this house or a VHS tape that I can test it with. I don't know if any of these things work. I just know I have them at work and they're sitting in the corner of my office.
Would you like to watch best of explosion matches?
Send it my way, baby. I need to pop that in those things and see if this thing works.
So what's your plan with these things? Is it to test them and to possibly sell them?
Well, I got to test them, see if they're junk or not. If they're junk, they'll just go in the recycling bin, and if they're not, I'll ask if I can take them because
you'll ask. Okay.
I will ask.
It's a bold
I'm not
move.
just gonna steal them.
That's too risky for me.
See,
I'm a man of honor.
There's 2 other guys on this podcast that would take things in a different way.
Your job was to replace them. You're going to replace them.
They're replaced. They are effectively replaced. So
saying.
we don't need them anymore, right? So we'll see what happens.
Your job is done.
Absolutely. But yeah.
Did you look anything up to see what the potential value was?
No.
Oh yeah, I was looking them up.
Sasha's my VHS guy.
Okay.
He gave me a firm number.
Yeah, anywhere from 40 to 70 or something. It was even more with the remotes. I mean, one of them, just the remotes were going for 25
I was going to say,
plus.
just the remote would probably be something, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's interesting. I'll have to check in all of these things work.
And then another amazing thing that you did this weekend that you brought up right before we started this podcast that me and Peewee did not take a part of, I don't believe. You watched the biography of Stone Cold Steve Austin?
Yeah, like A&E is doing these 2-hour WWE biographies. I think there's 8 of them.
I heard about this. I did not know it was 2 hours. Wow.
Yeah, it's 2 hours. They're doing like 8 of these, and Stone Cold was the first one, and that was last Sunday. It kind of goes through his whole life and then wrestling career, and then where things went sour. But what I was more impressed with was the access of the interviewees, I guess.
Okay. Vince? Did we get some Vince?
They got Vince.
Oh,
they got Vince.
That's all that matters. Yeah.
They got Hunter. They got The Rock.
Wow, that's great.
So I mean, like they have access to like great.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like just Fink talking for 2 hours.
Yeah, or like Meltzer giving like a third party.
No, there was no Meltzer, which was great.
So rate it overall. What'd you think of it? Good, worth watching.
B+, absolutely.
And how much did you know about Austin beforehand?
Nothing. I knew nothing about it.
That's my problem. Is that Sasha, you probably have this problem too. Is that we know so much about wrestling already. I don't think I'd be interested for the entire 2 hours.
Yeah, the only thing that I've heard about this biography is that there was a lot of like behind the scenes stuff that you haven't seen before,
like home life stuff.
I have no clue. It just like it wasn't like clips and somebody talking over the clips. It was like stuff that we probably have never seen before that WWE has been filming for a long time, and I think that's probably what they would want people like us to see. Like we're like, who cares? It's Stone Cold. We know. Like we've
saw seen
it
1,000 documentaries on him, right? Yeah. Why would we watch this? That's interesting. Did they
best
talk
part about it?
But Vince, I mean,
yeah, Vince was there. The best part about it, I thought, was the whole story of the King of the Ring, where Hunter was supposed to get that push. He was supposed to win the King of the Ring that year,
Yeah.
But he fucked up at a house show and like did something stupid.
Do you know what he's talking about, Sash?
No.
He's talking about the curtain call.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know
this
that
was
was
when
related.
yeah, right. This is when Nash and Hall are going to WCW. They're working a house show at Madison Square Garden. They do. I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast, you know what the fucking curtain call is. Nash and Hall are about to go to WCW and separate. The main event is this cage match. I think it was Shawn and Diesel against Triple H and Scott Hall. They just said fuck it, and either halfway through the match or to open the match, they just stopped working and they all hugged each other because everybody in the building was already saying nah, goodbye. Like they were all like everybody knew that Nash and Hall were leaving, and Vince couldn't punish Nash and Hall because they were leaving. He couldn't punish Shawn because he was on top. The only guy left to punish is Triple H. So instead of Triple H winning the King of the Ring, they have to go with somebody else, and that somebody else ended up being Stone Cold.
Happened to be Stone Cold.
Yeah.
And after the match, he gave like the promo that set his career off, where he dropped the line, opened up a can of whoop ass, and that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. Austin 316 just whooped your ass.
Yeah, and then the next night
that
on
was
Raw.
all in that promo, and like it just skyrocketed from there. So I think it was it's worthy to watch. I learned a lot of stuff, and I think it was well done.
Did they talk about Deborah? I'm not going to go into any more details and ask if they talked about Deborah at all.
No, I did not hear
any. He was married
Deborah
to
stories.
Deborah McMichael for a while, and then for one reason or another, he was not. And I'm just curious if they talked about it.
They mentioned a marriage. They did not give
interesting.
any names. Yeah, so
that's all I got.
Didn't get into that. I don't think it's gonna be like the level of like Dark Side of the Ring where they're getting into like the real like controversial stuff. But I don't know, it's well produced, and the access to interviewees that they're getting is pretty good. So
does anybody know who the next few guys are?
Next one is Piper.
Oh, see, I don't know a ton about Piper. I'd be interested in that.
Me neither. I'm excited to watch it. I know there's a Macho Man one. I can't remember the others, but next one is Piper.
All right, we're going to get into the Sasha section of the show this time. I got a couple things that I wanted to update you guys with. One, I hit up eBay. You know, I'm on the eBay app more than I am on any other app.
Right.
And so I'm constantly searching things that are important in my life. USWA, ECW, the Blue Meanies.
VHS, DVD players.
That's about it. I came across something, and we actually talked about this on the show. There was a card game that came out that was like Territories of Wrestling or something like that.
Yeah.
And I never wanted to spend the money because it was like $20 to get the deck or whatever it was. And I didn't. I probably should have after I tell you what I did. But I didn't realize what I was purchasing when I purchased it. But I typed in a certain 3-worded keyword here, Billy Joe Travis.
BJT.
And I got, look at this, Billy Joe Travis.
Wow.
Card, right?
Yeah.
I was going to ask if that's his rookie card, but I mean, that has to be. How many Billy Joe Travis cards could there be?
This is it. And not only that, I scrolled a little bit further down on the eBay, and I got the tag team, Billy Joe Travis and Jeff Jarrett. Look at that.
Is PSA open yet?
This is SSA. Wait, how do you spell my name? This is an SSA 10, okay?
So where is that on your power rankings of most prized possessions?
Well, I'm currently building a frame for it. I've never built a frame in my life, and I am taking the steps to use my hands so I could present this correctly, is only the way that I feel it should be presented. But I was very excited to get this, and then I realized it was from that deck, and I should have just got the deck because I could have had like a snowman card or like Coco Beware, Dirty Dutch, all kinds of other cards. But I thought that was interesting.
That's awesome. The only rookie card that matters.
This entire week, I have been taking the VHSs that our dear friend Bellwood Bishop gave me, and I have been digitizing. And if you look at the desktop of my computer right now, It's just ECW pay-per-views and RF video tapes and all this stuff.
How is your computer handling this?
Well, I know you guys don't believe in my computer, but do we have to have another spec off? I will go get the specs. They're 6 feet from me.
Keep your specs in your pants, okay, buddy?
I got 1 TB of Unity. You know what I mean? And I am going to need an external drive very soon, because with all the videos we've been creating with the podcasts and now with all these amazing VHS to DVD things, I'm running out of space quick.
Okay.
However, the best thing I realize now is that I don't have to buy that RF video $1,000 package with all the things, because with all those tapes that Bishop gave me, I think I have a majority of the ECW pay-per-views ever.
Wow.
And so in order to find out if I do, I printed out the list of every ECW
And we're going to
pay-per-view.
go through the checklist right now.
We're going to do it right now. First ever event, June 19th, 1993, my 11th birthday, Summer Sizzler Spectacular, Eddie Gilbert versus Terry Funk. All right, that's one. All right, we're done. Maybe one a week. How about that?
Did you have that first one? There's no way he had Summer Sizzler 93 on there.
I don't know. I haven't gone through the rest of them. I've only been going through the RF stuff right now so that I could put it on eBay immediately afterwards at ridiculous prices and hope somebody pays for them.
Excellent.
Which I have been doing. And the higher price I get for those tapes, the more Bret Hart tights that Bishop gets, because I will be purchasing Bret Hart tights for him as a gift. But anyway, so then I looked it up, and you can get just the ECW television shows for like $500. And so I'm already saving money over here. But I've been watching so much ECW.
Honestly, I wish I would have thought of that. I'm not going to put that blame on you. There was a vendor at the shows who had bootleg Blu-rays, I want to say, at that show on Saturday. And one of the DVDs that I definitely saw was like, not even best of ECW TV. It was just all ECW TV for 1997.
All of it.
I used to have like Hardcore TV episodes 1 through like 100 or something like that. I also have a bunch of tapes of like ECW on TNN, but I'm not even going to bother going through that stuff to digitize it and then whatever. I will just spend the money on that. But the pay-per-views, why not? I've been watching them, so like that's been my entire week. But also then I realized I have like every DCWA tape now because Bishop gave me all those. So I'm going to make DCWA box sets for all our listeners. Anyone who wants a DCWA box set, let me know. Yeah. And absolutely. By 2025 at the latest, I will have those made chronologically. It's going to be like a 700 disc set. It's going to be awesome. The last thing that I want to get to before we get to the emails, I brought up the date June 19th, which is my birthday. This year, June 19th is a Saturday.
Okay.
This year, actually tomorrow, I'm going to get my vaccine, the first shot of vaccine.
Yay!
Congrats.
Thanks. So if you can't find me, just ask the government.
Just ask Bill Gates. He'll find him.
But I was thinking, and I don't know if it's too soon for this. What do you guys think about the first ever Bitter Marks Tag Team Crockett Cup Golf Championship at Apple Orchard in Bartlett?
I am in.
Sure, I'm in to walk the course. I can't golf.
Well, that's the reason why it's at Apple Orchard. Oh, you have a back issue.
It's not. It's a physical problem. I can't play golf.
No, that's fine. Let's see. Can we get you some sort of gun that shoots the ball?
I can bring Connor if you guys want to wait around for an extra 4 hours for him to finish.
Absolutely not. And actually, I have banned him. I've put pictures of Connor at Apple Orchard, so he's not allowed to be there.
Okay, all right.
Maybe you can be mine and Tony's manager, right?
Caddy. You can be the caddy. You can cart our clubs around.
Ideally, what I would like to do is
can't wait.
Survivor Series type matchup where we have groups of 4 as like teams of 4. and the lowest scoring team obviously wins. But I think the better way to start
What
it
if
is
the lowest score? Hold on. I like this idea. What if you start 4-on-4? Everybody plays the first hole, just like normal, and everybody finishes the first hole. Whoever has the most strokes after the first hole is eliminated, and then the next 7 go to the next hole.
Okay, but then what? All right.
I don't know. I haven't worked any. I just thought of this. You think I have the details worked out?
I think you do, and I think you've been holding out on us. I think we got some good planning to do right here. Now, here's the thing: don't know if we can get anybody else to play with us due to what's happening in the world. I do know that we can get Dogan because Dogan's been calling me every week to go to the range, and I am afraid to go to the range even though it is outdoors. But I'm figuring in about a month and a half, and we're going to be outdoors. And if you listen to our former president, well, once the sun hits COVID, it's gone. It doesn't exist anymore. Also, it will be eliminated completely by Easter of last year. So, like, we have nothing to worry about as far as COVID is concerned. But if anybody would like to participate in the Bittermarks Crockett Cup Tag Team Golf Championship this year.
The inaugural.
Yeah, June 19th. I'm thinking, and it's a 9-hole course. It's all par 3, so you don't have to know how to golf to be a part of this. Like, you can just come out and swing and see, like, what happens. Maybe we could get Johnny Swinger because it's a golf event.
And he swings? Is that what
Yeah.
Is that the pun you're going for? Okay.
That's where we're going. That's where we're going slowly. If this does not turn out to be a non-super spreader event, then it will be a super spreader event. Maybe I'll take people's temperatures. We can have Johnny Swinger takes your temperature and like gives you a shot of vaccine or whatever. But I'm thinking individual best score gets the Billy Joe Travis Cup. You get a trophy with Billy Joe Travis on it. That is for like our dear friend Dawkin Kruger. He's not going to be here because he lives.
Thank God.
Yeah, far away.
He would destroy us all on the golf course.
Absolutely. And then the worst score gets the Big Dumb Idiot ribbon, where it's just a ribbon with our friend Big Dumb Idiot on it.
I like it.
But I'm just floating that out there in the ether and seeing who wants to fly in for this, huh, fellas?
Yeah, I like that.
Fellas.
Our first live event.
Oh yeah, and there will be no live podcast either. There will be a ceremony. I will take charge, and I will be a ceremony leader. Maybe we could get our dear friends over at CU Comedy up here. We'll get a comedy show on hole 6. Like every person who goes to hole 6, they have to like hit while a joke is being told to them. I don't know. We're spitballing here. We're spitballing.
We're workshopping. That's what that's called.
All right, we got some emails today. We got 3 emails, and we'll go pretty quick here. But first one comes from our dear friend Hattori Hanzo, and thank God
he's gonna love that Piper doc, by the way.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mike or Hanzo, make sure you watch it. It's on A&E on Sunday.
He probably directed it.
He says, recommended viewing to anyone in the Bittermarks universe that has not watched Andre the Giant versus Stan Hansen. This occurred in 1981 in New Japan Pro Wrestling. How many North American wrestling fans have seen Andre work? McMahon Sr. and Jr. booked their star attractions in such a way their full potential was never utilized. Japan was always a different world, and working was essential. Stan Hansen was especially successful in bringing out the best, maybe out of necessity to survive in the ring with him, being Andre. He also wrestled Hulk Hogan in 91 or 92 in New Japan, and Hogan worked like he had never worked before or since. This match is more appealing, as watching Andre work is something harder to imagine, but the big guy could go. This is the best match of Andre's career. It used to be on YouTube, but now you have to visit it on Daily Motion. And he sent us a link. I clicked on the link directly to porn. And then directly after that to like small children fighting in a middle school. But after that, I did get to the Andre match. Did you guys watch this? You guys happen to see this match?
I read the email as I was on Monday, yesterday, after we got back from the trip. And I was literally talking to Connor about Andre the Giant. And I get this email. Andre is in Connor's top 5 wrestlers of all time, the top 5 being Swoggle, Vince McMahon, Hogan, Macho Man, and Andre. Andre's right up there. Now his love of Andre comes because of I showed him the Princess Bride, and he loved Andre in that. And then he just loves like the big guy. Like I've showed him some old matches from like, not this old, not 81 old, but like 1985, I probably showed him WrestleMania 3. Just random Andre stuff. And he fell in love with the guy. And I was very excited to show Connor this match. And after 15 seconds, Connor walked away. It was in. He was not interested at all. I do think I tuned out as well, but I think we tuned out too soon.
It's very interesting. You watched it, the whole thing?
I watched the whole thing. I'd never seen Andre work like that, and I was surprised.
What kind of stuff was he doing?
Moving.
Yeah, dude. Andre took an arm drag.
I don't agree with it.
Stan arm dragged Andre the Giant. I swear to God, I seen it.
And it looked good.
Yeah.
By the way.
He's doing spots where he's like taking bumps out of the ring. Like, it's crazy.
You know, like Stan Hansen's in the corner and he charges the corner. Hansen moves. He takes the corner and then like tumbles out of the ring. And you're like, what?
Out of the ring?
Yeah. He's 450 pounds. And like, I never got to see that Andre, like where he could move like that. I only saw like the broken down version later in the years,
because he's a 450-pound man taking spills outside of the ring. That's why he was a broken down man.
Absolutely.
Well, that was only part of it.
Well, yeah, I understand that he had a disorder, but it didn't help. It absolutely wasn't the cure. But this reminds me of like WCW. If you go back and watch WCW matches of the Big Show when he was the Giant, very early, even before he joins the NWO, even before the NWO is formed, he's worked when he first came in. He's working as a heel, an unstoppable heel, and Andre is the Giant is throwing drop kicks, just a standing drop
and
kick.
like going to the top rope and
stuff. He used to do nip ups, like he could get up. Yeah, I remember this. Yeah,
you don't have to do that. Let's save your back, guys. Let's to save those bumps. You're not gonna take them. It's too much. It's too much for Big Show. It's too much for Andre.
This was. I am not very familiar with Andre the Giant outside of like WWF past his prime, Andre the Giant. Yeah. Like that's what I grew up to. And just like Connor, it was like you watch that and you're like, holy cow, look at this guy. And that's what I know of Andre the Giant. I've seen pictures of Andre when he was younger, like in this time in 81. You know, he's different. He's not wearing like the full tights. He's just wearing.
He's got the blue tights, just the blue trunks. Yeah.
And he looks young, and he's obviously moving crazy. But like the first thing you notice about the two of these guys is obviously their size, but like that makes such a huge difference. It was like watching a completely different wrestling. And
dude, when all the ring crew gets in the ring during that match, and you see this fucking Andre the Giant and like 10 Japanese, like regular sized Japanese men, and he's just pushing them out left and right. It's fucking wild.
And that's why I don't want to get super bitter on this, but that's why I don't agree with the arm drag spots and Andre taking flips out of the ring. The moment you put him in the ring one with Stan Hansen or another bigger guy, that immediately shrinks Andre a little bit. He's not in the ring with a shorter, a guy that doesn't make him look massive. On top of that, you're having him work like a wrestler. In my opinion, you make Andre a showcase. You make him a special attraction. If his thing is to stand there and not sell anything, to me, that makes him even more special. Like that makes him stand out. The moment he starts taking arm drags and starts getting thrown into the ropes and then starts getting his head bashed into the turnbuckle or whatever was happening, the moment you start having him work like a regular wrestler, he looks like a regular wrestler, and that takes away from the special attraction. I would much rather have him work the style he worked later in life than this flippy stuff that apparently he's doing. These Hurricanranas that he's doing.
Stuff. Don't do
Canadian
that.
Destroyer. Yeah, right. It was crazy.
It was the whole thing was built up though, like.
So there was a story behind it?
The first like 6 minutes is just two dudes having a fight. And that's what's cool about it is it's sloppy. It's like elbows, it's punches, it's chops, and they're both going back and forth. And you can tell Hansen is, he's trying to fight this large man or whatever.
Okay, I like that.
And so they're going back and forth, and Andre is kind of dominating. Then Hansen, at one point, he gets some offense in. He teases the body slam. and the crowd goes insane. Like they're like, "Oh my God, this is about to happen," and they don't do it, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's like the end of it. After that, the stuff that happens when he goes to the outside, it's not like him going over the top rope. It's like he'll take something, he'll bump to the ground, and he'll roll under the bottom rope, or like.
But even that's I get what you're saying. Even that's
Yeah.
a lot for Andre. Yeah.
And then they go outside, and I don't know if there was like a count out or something that happened.
Yeah, it's all in Japanese, so it's very hard to follow.
So like they're outside of the ring, the bell rings. We think the match is over. They go back into the ring, and people are arguing. They're trying to get the match started again. And that's when they do get the match started again. Hansen goes on the attack, and that's when he hits the arm drag. It's like he's built up to this point where he hits this arm drag, and then everybody was still like, "Oh my God, this Stan Hansen has a chance." And it ends up. I don't want to tell you how it ends. We'll no spoilers for stuff that happened 30, 40 years ago, but we'll tweet out the video. I don't know. I thought it was well done, and it was just cool to see, Andre the Giant being able to move and stuff. Like I said, I've seen the pictures of him. I've never really seen him work back that long ago. And I see why Hattori Hanzo is a Stan Hansen fan. I always thought Stan Hansen was like a slightly better JBL, but like.
Oh no.
But he's like likable. I don't know if he's trying to be likable, but I don't know. There's a big difference, I guess. I'm
mustache.
I'm
the
not
mustache
that
goes a long
familiar
way.
with him either. Oh yeah, for sure. He could clothesline people with that mustache and injure some people.
Damn right.
Hanzo also sent in another email. Let me see if I got it here. It says, thoughts about Vince Russo. I associate Russo with the worst of the Attitude Era WWF. Crucifying Steve Austin comes to mind, and destroying WCW. The intense hatred Cornette has for Russo is amazing, and the heat is real. That said, he seems like a good bro in various interviews I have seen. In a recent shoot interview with Hannibal TV, he weaved bro into every sentence in every way imaginable. If he had to take a shot every time Russo said bro, this would be a review of your internal organs. Dead, bro. They're all dead. Yeah, it's interesting. We love that era where Vince Russo was in charge, the Attitude Era. And a lot of people say that, he came up with those ideas. But then when you see the ideas that he came up with after that stuff, it was like Jerry Springer, like awful. The WCW stuff was ridiculous. And he's getting in the ring and wrestling. And did he win the title at one point?
Honestly, I don't know.
I feel like
might
he
have.
beat Jeff Jarrett to win the title or something like that, which is just a horrible sentence, WCW or otherwise.
Sure.
But I don't know. We've heard so much bad stuff about Russo. What about TNA? What do you know about him in TNA?
Oh, absolutely nothing.
Okay.
Yeah,
what do you think about
little,
Russo?
I'm fine with him. I think, one, I don't know how much the Cornette and Russo stuff is a real versus being a work. In my opinion, everything in wrestling is a work. If you can capitalize off of something, you might as well blow it up. Even if you don't like the guy a very little bit, then blow it up. So as if you hate the guy and that's what you make your whole gimmick out of. I believe that's why we had Suave on the podcast a few months ago. I don't know how much, yes, he had terrible ideas, but I don't know how many good ideas Russo had, specifically when he was with WWE back in the late 90s. It's the only thing that comes to mind for the late 90s for Russo. I don't know that he was in charge of that he called that Austin crucifix spot. The only thing that I know he called is talking to Sable backstage, telling her to you got to sell this limp like you're getting in there and you don't think you're going to compete tonight. The only reference I have of Vince Russo in 1997 was from Beyond the Mat. So I'm just saying, based on that, that's not a bad idea. Obviously, the guy knows what he's talking about. It's a very basic concept that he's explaining to her, and I don't understand why he had to explain that to her. But that's a very basic thing, and it's not a terrible idea. It's not a Jerry Springer idea. It's just very basic wrestling. I am sure there are hundreds of ideas that went through that came out of Russo's mind and made it onto TV in the late 90s on WWE TV, and that people love, and Russo doesn't get the credit for it. I think that him getting the credit for the terrible ideas is his gimmick. I think that Cornette hating Russo is his gimmick. I don't think there's a lot to any of this.
I think the hate is real. I think it's a legit Cornette and Russo.
What are you basing that on?
I mean,
I'm not saying maybe it is. My big thing in the past 2 years has been I don't know. I don't want to assume that I know.
I watched a 15-minute YouTube video, and it's only Jim Cornette shitting all over Vince Russo.
But that's to my point even more. If you hate that guy,
fantastic.
That's the point, Tony. It's fantastic. People love watching it. If you hated the guy that much, would you give him that much publicity? Would you know what I mean? Would you go off on him that much, or would you just ignore him and cut him out of your life?
But Cornette goes off on people who he doesn't like all the time. He hates Kenny Omega, right? What he's said about Vince Russo is like piss on your grave.
Yeah, I will end your family.
I've heard the Cornette stuff. I'm not convinced that it's not a work.
I think it is absolutely the truth. But I'm with you. I think Russo probably had maybe what were considered out there ideas, but at the exact right time to have out there ideas.
Obviously,
in the
it worked. Absolutely.
Yeah. But the thing that hurts him is everything he did after that era. People go, oh my God. Even if you listen to Bruce Pritchard and all these other guys who worked with him, they're all yeah, that's a Vince Russo idea. I don't agree with it. It's a bad idea.
Yeah, it's a meme at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. When they call out weird stuff. But that's the other thing is no one knows if an idea is going to be good or bad. You throw out the ideas, and his ideas were just maybe not as traditional of ideas as wrestling was used to, but it was also at the most non-traditional time in the late 90s when things were going crazy. But then when everything kind of slowed down a little bit, it was okay, well, the next idea has to be bigger and worse, Howard Stern stuff and bringing in Howard Stern people. And I mean, it really was trashy, just bad stuff.
And in WCW specifically, he's missing the Vince filter. But I don't like assuming any of the backstage politics. The only place you hear about this stuff is from internet reporters, and none of them were there. None of them know anything. I don't like the assumption on any of this stuff. The entire lore of Vince Russo is based on rumors.
Bischoff too. Bischoff is anti-Russo. Maybe I don't want to say anti-Russo, but I've heard Bischoff say yeah, that's. I couldn't work with whatever his ideas were and stuff like that. And that's why they didn't work at the same time. So it's not just internet reporter people. I mean, Bruce Pritchard and Eric Bischoff are as close to the situation as you get. I think they're also a little bit more old school in their thoughts than a Vince Russo. So you could see them butting heads or whatever. But yeah, I'm going to see if I can get some Cornette clips on this. The end of this
Feel
show.
free.
All right, well, next week on the show, I will be half vaccinated, and we will have some prediction updates as this weekend Impact Wrestling has a pay-per-view. I want to say the main event is title versus title, Kenny Omega versus Rich Swann.
Oh, that sounds right.
So Kenny Omega might be a double champion after this. And next week, depending on how hard Peewee works this week, we will be going live next Tuesday night at 9:05 Central. I don't know if... Are we still doing this?
Honestly, I haven't had any time to work on it because I've been gone all weekend. But yeah, it's on my docket to take a look at this week.
Docket? I barely know it. So we'll see you next Tuesday night at 9:05 Central Standard Time. Watch us crash and burn. It's gonna be very interesting if we can get on air and if we can do it without a lag. So I don't know. Whatever. What's making me bitter this week is the new wrestling schedule. It's pretty ridiculous. Granted, it's only a slight difference from before, but it's Monday Night Raw, Tuesday NXT, Wednesday AEW, Thursday Impact, Friday SmackDown, and oh, by the way, if there's events by any of those companies, they will be on Saturday or Sunday. Sure. At least before I had Thursdays off, and now it's too much. I need to watch ECW and nothing else. That's the only thing that is good. And apparently old Andre matches. Producer Tony, what's making you bitter this week?
Snow! It fucking snowed today. Did you guys see this shit? Dude.
It did not snow by us.
It has been okay weather the past 2 weeks. I smoked ribs in a t-shirt and shorts for 6 hours 2 days ago, and it fucking snowed today. Oh my god.
Fuck Steve Blackman.
Peewee, what's making you bitter this week?
Okay, maybe I'm missing something, and this isn't wrestling related at all. But restaurants that have signs that read outside their building under new management, what am I supposed to do with this information? What do you want me to do? All I see when I spot these signs is wasted money at Signorama. Am I wrong, or is this just the new owner wanting some sort of recognition, tooting his own horn that he bought a company and now he's in charge? What does that do for me as a customer? Why do I care that there's new management?
If you hated the restaurant before, you're gonna possibly give it a new chance.
So it's just a burn to the previous owner.
I mean, it's an attempt to get business from people who may have written off that place as a legit restaurant.
I don't agree with that at all.
That's it?
That's it?
Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/bittermarks. New episodes drop every Friday morning, bittermarks.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram @bittermarks, and email us, bittermarks@gmail.com. Last but not least, buy our shirts, prowrestlingtees.com/bittermarkscom. That's COM, as in, Mamma Mia, I'm under new management. Whatever. Peewee, Producer Tony. Bye.
If you've been to the dance, let me know.
Bye.